Hello, how's everyone doing? Great. Thank you so much for the warm intro, Jennifer. That was so nice. And thank you also for all of the hard work you put into putting this together. So, good morning, everyone. As Jennifer said, I'm Depelsha McGruder, interim CEO of New York Public Radio, at least for the next 6 days, because in 6 days we welcome our incoming president and CEO, Goli Sheikhoslami. So, we're very excited about that. It's a new chapter in New York Public Radio's history. Goli joins us from Chicago Public Media, which some of you know as WBEZ, and I couldn't be more excited to begin our next chapter with another inspiring woman leader. So I'm delighted to see so many of you out here this early for the opening session. That's great. But I know you're eager, just like I am, to soak up this experience and dig into the fabulous and packed program we've got lined up. I want to start by thanking our generous funders, Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the Annenberg Foundation, and our sponsors, Luminary, Spotify, Spreaker, ACAST, Himalaya, and the Women's Foundation of California. Let's thank them for their support. CPB and CEO Pat Harrison in particular helped dream up this incredible festival, and they provided leadership support ever since. I also want to give a special shout out to the team at WNYC Studios who worked so tirelessly all year long to put this together and make it possible. Jennifer Sindro, who you just met, Denise Bennett, Yasemin Khorsandi, and the many colleagues here today and back in New York who have dedicated their time and energy. Big kudos and tremendous thanks to all of you. So I could not begin to list the phenomenal talent we have leading our panels and presentations here for this conference, but some of the names that jump out are Roxane Gay. She actually keynoted the inaugural Werk It way back in 2015 before she even had a podcast of her own. Brittany Luce, co-host of The Nod. She first came to Werk It as a participant right as her career was taking off. And my colleague, the wonderful Carrie Hoffman, CEO of PRX. She's doing such important work across the industry, training, advancing, and supporting diverse storytellers and producers. So, they put me up here to welcome you, set the stage, and explain a bit about what we're here to do. First, a few key facts. #facts. Werk It is 5 years old, and we've had more than 6,000 participants to date. This year's group is gathered from 30 states and 10 countries. Can you believe that? That's amazing. We've connected more than 500 people with mentors, and more than 90% of past attendees say they made new industry contacts. 27% said they got job leads. Just yesterday, 100 people moved through our podcast boot camp here in LA, hosted in partnership with Second Home. And this past year, we leveraged our community to create a pay transparency tool that helps podcasters demand fair pay. It's on the Werk It website, and I encourage you to check that out. Good information there. So those stats are important, but they're only part of the picture. As we all know, the best way into any explanation is through narrative, through story, through the personal. So this morning, I'm going to share a little bit of my story, the journey that led me here today, and which has over and over shown me the critical importance of spaces like this. So as Jennifer said, I started my career as a local TV journalist because I love telling stories, holding those in power accountable, and giving voice to those who would not otherwise have a platform to speak. After a while, I made the somewhat unusual request for my news director to move me from my place in front of the camera to a spot as a producer behind it. This is because I learned very early on that it matters a lot who gets to decide what stories are told and how they're told. I realized that I personally could have more impact behind the scenes. And so from then on, I've shifted my focus to supporting diverse storytellers and creating platforms to ensure their success, which I did for many years at MTV and BET before coming here. We need these platforms and these spaces like Werk It. But that's my journey, my decision, my path that I took to do my best, most meaningful work. And all of you, of course, have your own path as storytellers, producers, researchers, marketers, managers, and so on. One unique aspect of my personality, I think, is that for whatever reason, for as long as I can remember, I haven't internalized the anxieties of others, their discomfort, their racism, their sexism, their whatever. To me, all of it is their problem, not mine. If they're uncomfortable with my presence in a room, they're more than welcome to leave it. okay? And sometimes they do. So, one example, if we can get the picture up. So, the quite literal crowning achievement of my high school career was my coronation as Miss Shamrock High School. Here's the photo, it's a little blurry, it's very old. You can see in the back the theme was the Roaring Twenties. That was the theme of the pageant. Now, before you get too impressed, I should share that my stiffest competition was a girl who brought the house down with a rousing patriotic medley on the handbells. That's true. But nonetheless, it was a big day for me. You see, Shamrock High School was a majority white school in the suburbs of Atlanta, and I was the first Black Miss Shamrock High in 1990. In 1990. So upon my coronation, about a third of the white parents walked out, just like that, most of the ones sitting right in the front. So what did I do? I walked my 17-year-old Howard University-bound self down the hallway where they were all standing, looked directly into their steaming, mad eyes, smiled hard, gave my best pageant wave, and delighted in wearing that crown. I was not going to let them take that moment from me, no matter how much they wanted to, and neither will you. Now, of course, I'm not saying it's been easy. We can get rid of that. We can go back to the main screen. So I'm not saying it's been easy or that the barriers we face in this room on our own journeys as women and people of color and queer and transgender and non-binary people, that they're not very, very real, because they are. Okay, one last bit about me. My name is Depelsha McGruder. Now, I know I already introduced myself, but I'm very used to saying my name multiple times and answering questions about it. When I introduce myself, people often say something along the lines of, "Oh, that's unique." And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with that? Is that a compliment? Is that an insult? I don't know what that means, right? But along the way, I've become very good at talking about my name. When people ask me what it means, I explain that my mom was a French major who loved the word dépêcher, which means to hurry, as in dépêchez-vous, dépêche mode. So you take a little French, mix it with a little Black creativity, and voila, here I am. The story is actually true, and it keeps things moving. But if I'm being honest, I would rather not have to talk about my name as often as I do. So I know it's early, but if you will, please indulge me in a little crowd participation. I can see you, it's kind of dark, but I hope I can see the hands. How many of you have ever been asked about your name? Raise your hand if you don't mind. Wow, a lot of people. Okay. How many of you have ever been asked or encouraged to plan an office party, order a cake, pick up a birthday card when that has nothing to do with your job description? Wow. That's a lot of people, okay? How many of you have ever seen a fabulous job listing that you didn't apply to because you didn't think you were 100% qualified? Wow. And then you hear about some dude who applied and got the job after just like 2 years in a pretty good internship somewhere, right? It's true. Last one. How many of you ever made a contribution in a meeting to a silent room only to hear a man 5 minutes later make the most brilliant and profound observation of his entire career, which of course is the thing you just said that nobody listened to? We've all been through that, right? So none of this is news to us, but whether or not we succumb to it, we've all felt the pressure, the expectation that we need to explain ourselves, to justify our presence in the spaces we work, to prove that we are brilliant and creative and excellent and that we deserve to be there. And to do all of this on top of the work itself, the work of being brilliant and being creative and excellent, the work we're here to do. This is why we need Werk It. To cultivate, to carve out a deliberate space where we don't have to do that other kind of work. A space that assumes up front that women, non-binary people, queer people, people of color, that we are brilliant, we are creative, and we are excellent. A space where we can talk shop, where we can give and receive mentorship, and a space where we can develop the network, support, and community we need to tell our own stories in our own words and in our own terms. Can I get an amen for that? Thank you. So I want to thank you all once again for coming out and sharing your brilliance with us. We really appreciate it. I am so thrilled to be here, and I can't wait to meet more of you later. And remember, if anyone ever tries to take your crown, just pivot, smile, and keep shining. Thank you.